It's coffee time. So this is going to be a bit of a combination video. I'm a bit behind with videos because I was on a bit of vacation while David was working. And as you can see, I got some sun. We also came home and immediately had to sleep. We were exhausted. We drove all the way through Friday night and we got here really early Saturday morning. And then we took a nap and then we got up and we cut the grass. We did the whole yard before the rain came. So it's really rainy and I feel much better after having a shower and then another nap. Which is part of what I want to talk about in this chat, and part of what I'm going to talk about when I do the plan with me, and how the bullet journal method has actually helped me sort of cultivate more mindfulness in my life, more being present. We're going to talk about before, where I was at with some things and how I was feeling with some things. People are all the time pushing on YouTube and in books and on Instagram and Twitter and all these places, girl boss, hustle, do what you love, which I do believe in, the whole entrepreneur mindset, being an influencer, and I've talked about that and I've gotten away from that mindset, except for the do what I love. And there seems to be this sort of overlap with that kind of mindset with being a workaholic. I think we, on a whole, as a society, tend to become a bit obsessive about things and trends, and that can be really toxic, especially when it can be hazardous to your health, your mind, body, and spirit. It actually seems to be part of this self-sacrifice attitude as a parent, and then a grandparent, and a wife, and a daughter, and a sister, and a niece, and a cousin. I understand all about self-sacrifice. So, people have this whole attitude of, well, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Well, if you keep on like you're keeping on, and it's a hazard to your health, and it becomes toxic to your mental state, as well as your spirit, then you're going to burn out. You're going to feel dead and exhausted. And not that working for your dreams, working hard, having a good work ethic are a bad thing. I think those are a really good thing. But whenever you get so filled with pressure to to mark the things off your to-do list, all those tasks, that's an immense amount of pressure, especially if you're a content creator, especially if you are working for yourself, especially if you are trying to juggle something that is your full-time job or even your part-time job along with your passion, your dream, the thing that you love that you would like to make money at. When we're bombarded by email notifications, by notifications from Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and whatever else you're doing, I realized, because I have this new phone, and so I've been at it for a week trying to and here we go with the notifications. I'm trying to figure out how to use the phone. How it tells me how much time I've spent on what, how much time I've spent on that phone. And last week I was on vacation. Do you know how much I was checking notifications? That interferes with our personal time, our reflection time, our work time, our family time, our productivity. So then you become busy and you don't become as productive because you're not focused on what you're needing to focus on, because you've got all these notifications coming and you're so busy thinking about what you missed, or maybe something's important. But then you feel guilty because if you're checking those notifications, if you take some time off, if you are not as productive as you want to be, we end up spending so little time doing the actual things that we enjoy because we're so busy doing all these other things and checking all these notifications and busy trying to be productive and mark off these to-dos or to film videos and to edit videos and to learn new technology and to learn new techniques with this or that or the other. Or we're watching videos because, there's other people out there with these traveler's notebooks or these folios or these Gilio, whatever they are, people with sketchbooks or notebooks or new pens, new art supplies, the next thing that will make something better for us. If it's working for them, it's got to work well for us, right? It's got to make things better for us. And the whole mentality of work smarter instead of harder. But we're working so hard sometimes to be productive or to work really hard at doing something we love, to build it. We're trying to hustle. We're trying to get a whole bunch of things done. We're multitasking. Our focus is spread all over the place. And I'm guilty of that right now. I have laundry going and some dishes soaking because while this is saving and then uploading, I will be cleaning because we're having Victor's birthday party Sunday. And there's a shit ton of work to do and David's still sleeping. He's utterly exhausted. And that's the thing we and David were just talking about. And that's one of the reasons why this sort of came up. I was on vacation while he was working. Normally now, but they switched his schedule, he works 60 hours a week. And he doesn't have as much time off as he used to because he used to do this fluctuating schedule thing where he switched from nights to days, and sometimes he'd have one day off, sometimes he'd have 2 or 3 days off, and then once a month he had 5 to 7 days off at one time. So now he has Saturdays and Sundays, but part of Saturday is spent sleeping because he worked Friday night. And then over the weekend, he can't, he still has to be up at night and sleep during the day so that he doesn't mess up his sleep schedule. So there's this really very difficult life-work balance for him, and he's feeling that strain, and he's feeling burned out, to the point where he's ready to start looking for a new job. He and I were talking about this, and I was telling him, I said, here's one of the issues for me. I work 40 to 50 hours a week normally. Actually, more than that if you take into account the housework stuff and cooking. So if you take into cleaning and cooking and all that kind of stuff, I probably work at least 60 hours a week. So I don't have a very good work-life balance either. And one of the things that I've been trying to change over the last few months is to get better at that. Which is why this past week I did do a couple of posts and a little caption, and I did do a little video because I wanted to put stuff up for y'all. But I was on vacation. I didn't pre-plan this vacation because they sprung it on him at the last minute to go back to Rome, Georgia. One of the things I realized while I was there the last time with him and then this past week is that taking breaks, whether it's throughout the day to help increase your creativity, regain your focus, retain information, especially if you're like me and you have ADHD, it's extremely important. It's important to make sure though that other than on the day-to-day things, that overall that we fill our lives with more than just work. That we fill our lives with fun, with creativity, with adventure. And for me, that's been really difficult because I'm like, oh, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to go to Starbucks and do an artist date. I don't have time to do this or do that or meet somebody for coffee. I don't have time. I've got to clean the house. I've got to get laundry done. I've got to film this. I've got to edit this. I need to take pictures. I need to get this video uploaded. I've got another video to do. I need to figure out how to do a better live system for streaming videos. I need to learn how to edit videos better so that it doesn't take me hours and hours and hours to get videos edited. I need to get a better system for filming because it takes me forever to film sometimes, especially when my anxiety's up. And for me, taking time away from the house, from work, from social media, from doing the things that I feel like I'm supposed to be doing, which is part of my work thing, for the most part, it's different for different things. But for the most part, pausing and reflecting feels like I don't I don't have time. That's how I was feeling. I don't have time. I can review things, but I mean, I do reflection in the evening, but I'm not doing that in-depth, deep reflection that I really needed to be doing. I wasn't. And I think that's why there were some parts of the bullet journal method that weren't really resonated with me, because I was so busy being busy. I wasn't being nearly as productive, and I refused to actually take the time to sit down and take time to reflect, because I was scared of what I was going to see. I think deep down inside I was scared of what I was going to see. Before taking some of this time away that I've been forced to take thanks to David's work, I felt a bit like the Hanged Man in the tarot cards. He's symbolic of a number of different things, but one of those is being in limbo, hanging by a thread. I was doing, trying. I keep swimming. I was swimming. But I felt like no matter how much I worked, how hard I worked, how much I tried to learn, how better I tried to get, continuously felt like I was not nearly as productive as all the other people that I see doing the same things that I'm doing. I wasn't really getting nearly as much done. At least that's how I felt. And that led to a tremendous amount of guilt. Guilt that I wasn't being productive enough. Guilt that I wasn't good enough. Guilt that I was inadequate in some way. And it felt like I was on a treadmill or in that little hamster wheel. And every now and again somebody tossed me a bone, kind of, so to speak, or a cup of coffee or a snack, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, I've got more energy now, I'm good to go, I feel better. Or I changed something up, the scenery from the wheel, I changed something up, so then my energy changed and I felt better, and I'm like, okay, I got this, I'm inspired, I'm motivated. And the guilt over a lot of that, over taking the time to do housework instead of doing what I needed to do, figuring out which was more of the priority, not spending enough time with family because I had other things I needed to be doing. The more that I took time for family, and the more that I took time for me, and the more that I took time to spend time with David, or to do some of the things that I love outside of what I'm doing for this kind of stuff, that guilt over just taking a nap, taking a day off because of pain or anxiety or depression, I felt guilty. And that has to do with that mentality. So one of the things I have been thinking about since I was on like a bit of vacation this week, as I sat by the pool or at the little table with my bullet journal and in the book, The Bullet Journal Method, reading about time. One of the things that really resonated for me was this quote from Ramani's from one of her videos. Not everything that gets thrown at you, you have to catch. One of the things I really wanted to think about with all of this was savoring the moments. Being freed from yourself. Freeing yourself from yourself. I was really feeling very scattered. And I had read the Bullet Journal Method a couple of times, listened to the audiobook, but I hadn't made it through after the first time, like halfway through. So then I'd start over, and finally I got through, and I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. But then a little bit of it felt a tiny bit woo-woo, and I'm like, maybe I'm in this weird mindset because of everything that's going on with my family. My mom ended up back in the hospital. My daughter's pregnant. She's got diabetes, and she might have to have the baby a little bit early. There was a lot of going on with me, anxiety and depression. My ADHD kept throwing a fit and rearing its ugly head at the most inopportune times. I was all over the place for a good little while. And part of it, like I've said before, was grief, was healing. Part of it, I'm back on medicine now. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was stressed out because of family stuff. I was feeling guilt because I was depressed and anxious and grieving. I felt guilt because I wasn't being nearly as productive as I had been. I felt guilt because I wasn't being nearly as creative as I had been, because I hadn't really been doing art in my sketchbook journal, artist notebook, whatever you want to call it, my art journal. All of this stuff was having a big effect on my creativity, on my mind, my body, and my spirit. And I was getting back into the groove of things slowly, and I felt really good about it. There were improvements, and it's been a slow process. It's been a work in progress. I began to feel more and more genuinely myself. I began to feel more and more authentically me. I slowly but surely started to sort of unpigeonhole myself, get myself out of some of these boxes that I'd put myself in. There were quite a few of those boxes, and I'm actually going to call them cages, because I had sort of caged myself, boxed myself into these little cages. And creative freedom is a state of mind. I wasn't in physical cages. It's an attitude. If I take the self-doubt and the stress and the anxiety and the depression out of it, if I take my ego out of it, it all boils down to, and I wrote this down, how I feel, what I think. Do I want to draw the breakfast I had this morning, or the view from when I was eating my breakfast? I wrote this down when I was at the hotel. Or maybe I could draw the front of the hotel. Whatever I'm in the mood to draw. Or maybe what appeals to me most today is something out of my comfort zone. Like the hotel, I'm not all that great at perspective, but I want to get better. Or I could pick something that's easier as a bit of a warm-up. Either way, I have been creative. Even if it turns out absolutely horrible, I've still been creative. Still had fun. Still enjoyed myself. So what is important to me is that I've been creative. Being creative allows me to express myself in a different way, in a variety of ways. It helps me with the anxiety. It calms me down and brings me joy. So no matter which way I'm expressing my creativity, I'll feel better if I express said creativity. If I'm not so busy that I'm trying to catch everything that's being thrown at me, and I'm only concentrating on the important things, the things that help me, the things that bring me joy, the things that make me feel more inspired, that help me feel more motivated. That's why pretty soon you're going to see just a little bit of changes. I'm still going to be in the B6ology that I just switched to not very long ago. Switched back to, I should say. I was watching one of Kellyanne Maddox's, her most recent ramble while she does the dishes kind of thing. Her, I can't remember what she calls it. And she was doing dishes and she was talking, and I was listening to her, and there were quite a few things that really resonated with me that she said. Since we're coming up on a new week, I thought I'd pull some cards and I'd talk about those cards, and I'd show you my weekly setup. So let's switch to this. Here are the cards. The first card that I pulled was the Ace of Wands. It's definitely a call. I think all of these are sort of action cards. This is definitely looking out. It's a sort of it's a creativity kind of card. New ideas, energy, fire, passion, opening yourself up to possibilities, making a change, trying new things. And then this Knight of Cups, it's connection. This is a messenger. I think the Knights are messengers, I believe. The Cups are feelings, so empathy, connecting with your inner self, thinking about how you feel, what you think about things, shared experiences maybe with others, your creativity and imagination, your intuition, taking time to really follow your intuition. I think he's head on here, and I think both of these are kind of, you need to deal with things head on. So this is where I was at. Like, I've been new ideas, I've been passionate and open to the possibilities and making changes, and that's where I've been. This is where I need to be, what I'm working on, connecting with myself, connecting with others, connecting with my intuition, facing things head on, using my imagination and my intuition, and being creative. And then we have the Seven of Swords. And a lot of people, this looks like a very dark card, so it's in the place of the challenge. I think becoming my own hero, maybe, no, saving myself, getting rid of the imposter syndrome, facing, like I said, facing things head on. I need to quit hiding in the shadows. This image is hidden underneath a cloak. Prioritizing things. I can't be everything to everyone, and I've got to quit hiding behind this self-sacrificing, trying to be everything for everybody, including myself, and not really paying enough attention to what I need. Lots of times there's a big difference between what you think you need and what you want. What you want is not necessarily always what you need. Again, a lot of making positive changes, remembering I need to prioritize, that it can't just be always about the changes, but dealing with things behind sometimes needing those changes. So that's where the cards are at. And I don't always do that, but I'm making changes, y'all. I'm making changes. So I feel really good about said changes. So this is what we have. Let me move my head so you can see. All right. What you see right here are the cards. So I'm going to move my cup of coffee, move my head a little bit more. Okay. There. All right. Now I think you can see this pretty well. Okay. So, my little bookmark, it's a shark. My weekly this week, Monday's Victor's birthday. So Tuesday I have my session with Ro, and then I'm going to be doing YouTube's coffee chat. Wednesday I'm going to be doing like a journal with me, I think. Wednesday is when I'm going to show you what I've got, the changes. So let me write that down. New setup. And what's in my bag. Thursday is YouTube, and that will be their book July update and the setup. And then Friday we are leaving for Hilton Head, and I am going to be doing some kind of watercolor or something like that, some kind of journal with me. Saturday I've got it's going to be a fun day, and then Sunday we're going to come back home and I have to do some grocery shopping. And the next day on Monday, which is the day before my birthday, David is taking Kayla to the college orientation at the four-year college. I have set this up for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack. I've set this up a bit different. So I have this week things that I need to do that aren't necessarily time frame, except for this one, because I'm gonna, I think, do something for YouTube too, but I'm not sure. The next week is my birthday. I put the crab here because my sun sign is Cancer. So these are the card readings where I wrote what I thought about the cards. I may start doing a bit of some journaling about the cards soon. I usually pull a card, at least a card for the month, a tarot card, and then usually like an oracle card or something like that. A theme for the month or whatever. I did that at the beginning of the year, but I can't find that thing now. I need to get better about that stuff, y'all. So that's one of the things I'm working on as well. Mind, body, spirit. Trying to get better about what I eat and making sure that I eat healthy and I drink water. Got to do a whole bunch of cleaning the house because of the birthday party Sunday. So like I said, while this is saving and then uploading, cleaning the house. This was some of this coffee chat. This was some of the coffee chat where I took some notes. And these are some things, when you're young, your ego is strong. Then you get older and you get freed from yourself. I used to bake in the sun as a teen. Am I going to get skin cancer? We can't deny it. The risk of skin cancer jumps when you have more than 5 sunburns. But despite those long ago summers, you can still take steps today to slash your risk by half. Applying a broad spectrum sunscreen every day before heading out the door, yes, no matter what the weather's like, dramatically cuts your risk. And a 2017 analysis of 13 studies found that coffee drinkers had an 18% lower risk of basal cell carcinoma. Decaf didn't work. And I believe that's basal cell carcinoma is the skin cancer thing. I did use sunblock. Otherwise, I would be much worse than I am. But I'm also out cutting the grass today, and I got sun, and I forgot to put sunblock on when I went outside to cut the grass. I did, however, use sunblock when I was at the pool. So these are just some of, the things. That's where I wrote Romney's quote, and I wrote down where we were at. I'm probably gonna do a bit of note taking for the bullet journal method. I have a collection I want to put here. This was This are notes about the questions for Mr. Rockstar. This was this past week. So far I need to fill this in for this whole week we were at the hotel. So far so good. And I'm liking how this is working. I have thought about switching this up and making it vertical instead of horizontal like the Hobonichi. We'll see. But I actually am really enjoying this. This is sort of how the weeks is laid out. So that's what's going on. I am going to be testing these. These are the Tombow water brushes. I needed new water brushes, and I decided I'd check them out, see how they work, do a review. So we're going to see how they work. I'm probably going to be using them when I do the sort of journal or watercolor or whatever with me. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I will see you again really soon with another video. Bye, y'all. Have a good one. Thanks.